think the more you have, the less that you want to fight. Take the Scots, poorest community in the UK. Haven't checked, but that sounds right. Who are some of the best soldiers in the British Army? Scottish ones, because they got nothing to live for. During war, their life expectancy goes up. Taking the mick out the Scots a lot. I need to say at this moment, I owe my life to the Scottish people. My grandma, Jewish lady, she escaped from Germany in 1939, and she found refuge in Scotland. And I'm not saying Glasgow is a bad place to live. But 9 years later, she moved back to Germany. So I'm from a family of immigrants, you see. So mum's family kicked out of Germany by Nazis. Dad's family kicked out of Russia by pogroms. Wife's family kicked out of Wales by community support officers. My grandma was a tough lady. I remember I just turned 6 and she took me to one side. She said, "Simon, be careful. People will always hate the Jews." And I remember thinking so clearly, why can't you just say happy birthday?
I do admire racists in Northern Ireland. It's good to have heroes, no? I just admire people that have tough jobs. That's a tough job. Being a racist in Northern Ireland, it's such a white place that they have nowhere to put their racism. So they saw my slightly tan dad and were like, "That'll do, we're in, we're doing it." It's such a white... Northern Ireland is such a white place. And people don't believe me. It fucking is. It's... Just ask Liam Neeson. If you don't remember what I'm talking about, Liam Neeson on TV, in an interview, decided to tell a little story. He told the story about how his friend had been assaulted by a black man in Northern Ireland. And in his very Liam Neeson way, he went, "So I got a bat. And I walked through the streets of Northern Ireland for 2 weeks trying to find some black bastard to beat the shit out of." Liam Neeson tried to find a black guy to beat up for 2 weeks and couldn't. That's incredible. And he just ran out of racism. After 2 weeks, he was like, "They're fine, I guess." Because he had no one to be racist to. And I think that's the solution to racism. Just get rid of them. No, you can't clap that, actually. Please don't.
Oh, man, I love to smoke joints, but I've had to quit it for the sake of my job because my memory was getting so bad, I had to Google the phrase double bike because I no longer knew the word for tandem. I've been smoking heavily for like a year, and I was like, all that stuff about memories is just government conspiracy theories. And then I went to say the name of I've been going out with the same person for 8 years, so I know his name, right? His name's Connor. I went to say his name, and I thought, is this Connor even called Connor? Who knows? Just act confident. See, when I was growing up, whenever I saw Scottish comedy on telly, it seemed to rely on slagging off Scotland, and it was a kind of shtick that was like, "Oh, aren't we all just fat, illiterate bastards eating chips out of bin?" That's what it was, right? I don't like slagging off Scotland. I'm not comfortable with it, apart from one crucial thing, and that is the world of Scottish amateur pornography. Which I made the terrible mistake of watching. This is a real category of porn. I'm not making it up for the show. Don't watch it. But a lot of you are drinking. You easy. He's cheersing. He's seen it. Scottish porn's the most depressing porn I've ever seen. Comes a close second to Russian porn, and at least in that they're skinny, but it's in that bleak, we did this for a piece of bread kind of way. I've watched literally every Scottish porn on the internet for the purposes of this show. Some of the clips, you're like, How can I even tell these people are Scottish? There's not much dialogue. Let me tell you, I knew. With a depressing inevitability, I knew my own people. Because it was just pale, hairy white bellies smashing against each other in close up like water balloons filled with yoghurt. Every few seconds, a wee voice off camera would go, oh, aye. Or memorably, tug on my pubes, Rona! I clicked on this Pornhub clip. It said, Scottish girl fucked in London. When I put it on, literally just footage of me paying £1,000 a month to live in a basement. And I watch like amateur stuff rather than slickly shot professional stuff because it's more ethical. That's what a hipster am. It's more ethical. What they lack in muscle tone or symmetrical facial features, they make up for with a large degree of enthusiasm. You know what I mean? I can see who watches it, yeah. I've had to stop watching it and go back to the professional stuff. I'll tell you why. Firstly, can't control the soundtracks and people's homemade sex tapes. I had to turn off someone's amateur porno because they were playing the song Everybody's Changing by Kinane in the background. Oh, which will come first, climax or me killing myself? Here's another thing. I don't judge any of you if you want to make a sex tape, but for the love of God, would you lock up the pets beforehand? You know the number of times I've just sadly closed my laptop during a porno? Because there's been a couple pumping away in the foreground, really happy, really oblivious to just the sight of their proud cat sauntering in the background. Meow! This is my time to shine! I put one on the other day. It had a couple were just dry humping American college amateurs, and in the background there was just a sad little Yorkshire Terrier. Dogs are pure innocence and goodness, just looking at them like, please take me a walk. I watch lesbian porn, mostly because straight porn is largely made for straight men, so it'll have these blowjob scenes that go on for 10 to 15 to 20 minutes. Well, why don't I just watch someone file a tax return?
I don't know what it is about old people getting scammed. They just get scammed. Constantly. For some reason, when they fucking get that call, hello, this is the president of the world. Oh, hello, Mr. President. Thank you for calling me. I'll send my credit card immediately. I must. Thank you. You ever been hacked? Ever been hacked and sent everyone you know and love porn? Ever done that? My auntie, Janice, she got a porn from me. She got porn link. She thinks I sent it to her. She thinks I sent that to her. XXX porn, fuck now! Oh, Damien sent an email. It's unbelievable. Can't believe. She thinks I sent that to her. We can't talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't bring it up. I can't double down and pretend I sent it on purpose. Just go up to her and go, hey, what's up, Janice? Fucking, you see that video I sent you or what? It's off the hook. Oh, yeah, she got rammed, yeah. She thinks I sent that to her. I know she saw it too. She fucking acts weird now. She's like, hello. She won't look at me. Hello. Hello, Damien. Good to see you. Hello. Hello. Fucking, I can see the gangbang. I can fucking see it in the eyes. That's a very unique humiliation to our time. That's a very unique humiliation to think that I sent that. Do you know how hard it would be to get that humiliated before the internet? Someone would have to dress up as you and pretend fully to be you and go door to door to your closest friends and family, like, hello, Grandma? Yeah, sure is. It's Grandma, it's your grandson, Damien Power. Oh, Damien, what are you doing here? A college slut's looking to fuck. What? What are you talking about? Ray-Bans 50% off. Grandma. There's MILFs in your area, Grandma. There's MILFs. No, the MILFs are back. I like MILFs in your area because it implies they migrate.
This mechanic, he kept saying the word roughly, right? He's like, it's roughly quite a big job. It's roughly going to take 1 to 2 days. Like, he kept saying the word roughly, and he got so in the habit of saying it that he started saying it when he was asking for my details. He was like, roughly, what's your phone number? I'm like, if you want a ballpark, it's about $500 million.
But I don't judge my life based on material possessions, mainly because I don't really have access to them. I judge my life based on achievements and milestones. Like, I don't mean to brag, but a little while ago, I hit the big time. I married an American, which is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, according to Americans. They are so excited for me. They're like, wow, you married an American. Your parents must be so proud. I'm like, they're a little concerned. They're worried about me. No, you could be an American now. Don't you want to be an American? Pew, pew, pew. I'm like, calm down. Okay, I don't have the confidence to be an American. I'm not qualified. Americans are confident people. Like, I was in America and I wanted to go to some fine dining restaurant, so I turned up at Pizza Hut. And a guy was coming outside and he held the door open for me. He said, "After you, big dog." I'm 5'7". I've never been called big dog in my life. I'm like, me? He's like, yeah, come on through, big dog. I'm like, stop it. No, it's not me. I'm a little dog. Stop it. Get out of here. I'm not even a big, I don't even have a tail. Stop it. He's like, come on through. And he gave me a fist bump. And oh, that confidence was contagious. All of a sudden, I felt that American confidence. And I felt 6 foot tall. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I am a big dog. I felt so confident. I walked into that Pizza Hut. I bought a family meal. That's how excited I was. My father-in-law was so pumped for me when I married his daughter. As a wedding gift, he bought me a Costco membership. That's a dowry in the state of Kentucky. It's like, that's a Costco membership. You can go to any Costco around the world. I'm like, why would I go to Costco when I'm overseas? You can get the best bagels in Costco. You got to buy 3,000, but they're the best bagels. You can get the best red wine from Italy in Costco. It's from a region in Italy called Kirkland, Italy. Best Italian wines. You can get a coffin in Costco. When I die, I want you to put me in that coffin, leave me in Costco, because that's my idea of heaven, amen. I'm like, mate, wait till you discover Aldi. You're going to have a great time. No membership needed.
And I have to say, and I don't really know how to reveal this, but I've got a few kids, they're all fucking boring. I know. None of them drink, none of them take drugs. Where have I gone wrong? And I think what's happened is they've rebelled. You know, kids rebel against their parents' culture. That's all right if your parents are conservative, straight and boring. They've rebelled against my having it large culture. Yeah. So you know at Christmas when you get a bit of cocaine in, right? Even if I haven't had any throughout the year, get a little bit at Christmas. It's like a family tradition now. Get a bit of boutros in, as we call it, boutros Garley, Charlie. So at Christmas, my kids come round, they're all grown up, they bring their kids, I'm the granddad. I have to go into the bathroom of my own fucking house to do my Charlie in secret. But last year, even I thought I might be getting a bit too old for this shit. I looked down, I was actually chopping up my Charlie with my senior citizens rail card. I know. You see how boring my kids are? One of my daughters, she's fantastic. You know, I don't know, you you have you have hopes and dreams for your kids, and they don't always see them through. I wanted her to be in a band, or be a sort of punk poet, or run a left-wing bookshop. She's in digital fucking marketing. But this is how boring she is. She phoned me up, this was during lockdown actually, so she was a bit younger, and she brought up the subject of drugs, and she went, Dad, I went, yeah, she went, you know cocaine? I went, of course I do, my darling. Why do you think you've always lived in rented accommodation? And she said, what's it like? What do you mean? What's it like? She went, when you take it, how does it make you feel? I went, no, I know what what's it like means. What I don't understand is why someone in their 20s is asking someone in their 60s what cocaine's like. I've got to tell you, my darling, you've turned out to be a real fucking disappointment.
But we hate that fly. Remember the fly? Because it's just hovering over the cupcake, making it all disgusting. It does nothing. It's unemployed. Love the bee, though. Yeah? Because it's out there, pollinating jacarandas. Fly in, fly out. FIFO. It's a fly in high-vis. Now, if flies started cleaning up dog shit as opposed to hovering over it, we'd start respecting them and it'd be illegal to spray them. The only difference between animal cruelty and pest control is the work ethic of the insect. And you know the insect known as the wasp? I'm not talking about white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. I'll be explaining the subtext as we go along. I'm talking about the insect. It's got all the unemployment of the fly and all the violence of the bee, just in the worst corporate merger of all time. A wasp is like that construction worker that's been sacked, but they're still hanging around. Just, yeah, I used to work for Rio Tinto. But you think of all these creatures. You think of the bee. They've got a hive. That's nice. Bit of community. Even the wasp, as debauched a creature as it is, still has a nest. More of a share house turned into a meth lab vibe, but nonetheless, a community. Then you look at the fly, no headquarters. Freelance and they're sole traders. Air tasker, doing tasks in the air. There's a piece of dog shit on Kent Street. Get to it, boys. They're all just knocking each other out of the way. There's no camaraderie. And if they die in transit, no one investigates. Like a Deliveroo. But yeah, so that's... But it's weird.
I think a lot of it is society's fault. By the way, can I recommend the next time you're worried about a personal flaw, just blame society. It feels good, because not only do you get to seem like clever and insightful, you also just get away with whatever's wrong with you. I think you'll find it's society's fault my house smells like this. Good day. But I do think I have a point, because hyperbole is everywhere now. It's the only language we seem to have. I mean, is Gen Z in? Gen Z? You're pretty young. I'm guessing because the light's in my face and people moisturize. I can't tell. I've looked like this since I was fucking 11. I don't know. You must be Gen Z, right? I've been on TikTok. I've seen what you guys are up to. And I don't like it. There's a comment on TikTok that the Gen Zers, they leave it under videos they like, whatever, a dog opens a jar. And the comment is, I'm throwing up, I'm crying, I'm dead. That's a stock phrase. I'm throwing up, I'm crying, I'm dead. It's not an appropriate response to anything, is it? Apart from Ebola. Fair enough, Ebola. But a dog opening a jar, no. And hyperbole is everywhere now. Like those reviews I mentioned earlier, like movie posters for theatre, musical. The reviews don't even make sense to me on those. I'll be in like the London Underground, say, and they got those big posters for the West End shows, and the quotes at the bottom will be like, "This show left my sense of place in the universe shattered." And you go, oh my God. You read the next quote and it's like, "I was sick into my lap. 5 stars. You're like, what show is this? I must know. And you look up at the title and it's a regional tour of Greece. And you just think, that can't be for that. That's not for that, is it? How could it possibly be? And it's all over comedy as well. There's a figure in comedy who is the worst for what you might call performative hyperbole, and I really hate him a lot. It's the cry laughing emoji. I really hate that guy. You don't need to worry about him. On TikTok, the young people, when something's funny, they use the skull emoji because, as I mentioned, they are dead. But the rest of us old fucks are stuck with the cry-laughing man. You know, with the little tears coming out the eyes. And the reason I hate the cry-laughing emoji is because I need him. I need him. If you cover your online video in cry-laughing emojis, people click on it like 1,000 times more. It's depressing, but it's true. And it's all about views. If you have a big enough number of views, TV producers, they're too busy and afraid to try and pick a guy on their own, so they just go, big number, let's have him on, right? That's how it works now. So we need views, so we need the cry-laughing emoji. That's what the business is. It's all just online fucking... It's not like the old days. I know comedians from the 80s and 90s, and it sounds better. Just back then, you go to the terrifying pub, you go into the basement, be quite funny for 20 minutes, an incredibly frightening man would give you an envelope, and you go, here you go, see you next week. And you go, oh, thank you. And you'd open it up, 60 quid in there, go home, buy your flat, right?
Hey, speaking of psychosis, have you ever noticed how the plots of all the Disney Pixar movies are very similar to textbook psychosis delusions? I reckon they got a guy in the Pixar writer's room who's fucking tapped in the head, but he can't quit because his ideas for kids' films are all bangers. Like, they're all in the canteen having some lunch, throwing ideas around. It's all dog shit, but they get to him and he's like, oh, I can't eat this meal, I think a rat cooked this. Say that again. Coming into the office all sad. Yeah, I think my wife's cheating on me with a bee.
And when I grew up in Scarborough, I was always desperate to leave it. And I wanted to move on to bigger and better things. And then as soon as I left, I realised what an incredible town it is. And I was proud of it. And I always wanted to do Scarborough proud. I always thought if I ever make it in this town, when people think Scarborough, they'll think funny, they'll think Paddy Young. It sounds right. Sounds like the way things were going for me until New Year's Eve last year, just as the fireworks were about to go off. Does anyone remember what happened? A walrus, yeah. It was the first time a walrus had ever been seen on the Yorkshire coast. It was incredible. So we all got a bit closer to the walrus, then the walrus got a bit closer to us, and we got a little bit closer. And then the walrus started masturbating. Did you know that walruses masturbated? I didn't, no. No. Little bit defensive, if you ask me. No. Shutting all the tabs in his pocket, oh my fucking God. Shut down the subreddit, boys, he's got us. Well, I didn't know that they masturbated either. I didn't know they masturbated, but they're not normally in Scarborough either, so I don't know if this guy's just a bit of a Jack the Lad, turns up, wanks where he wants, goes home. They cancelled the fireworks, he brought his own, my God. The line from the council was, they stopped the fireworks because they didn't want to cause the walrus any more stress. Now, I'm not an expert on walruses or stress. He looked fairly relaxed to me, He looked like he was about to have the nap of his life. The whole town enjoyed it, it was great. The elderly, the kids, we all learnt something. It's a great evening. But in the wake of it, this Walrus has become a bit of a viral sensation. People have enjoyed the video across the world. If you Google Scarborough funny, it's not Paddy Young. It's that fat, juicy cock. Lolloping about on our shore. It's so unfair. Like, look, I was a teenage boy in Scarborough. Like, do you realise how many wanks I must have had up there? Millions, probably. Never even made it in the Yorkshire Press. He's on the front page of the Guardian. I was keeping that water salty way before he crawled out of there.
Say this, I think that the last 8 years in this country has really ruined the whole "the president's been kidnapped" genre of action movie. I will say that it has deflated my enthusiasm. Man, that was a fun movie 10 years ago. That was fun. Oh, you'd go right to the cinema on Friday. The president's been kidnapped. Oh no, who's gonna save him? Channing Tatum? I hope his shirt doesn't come off. We were excited for those. You can't make that movie now. That movie does not have the steam it once held. The president's been kidnapped. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not good out there. People aren't happy, man. Inflation's out of control. Well, what are the kidnappers asking for? Healthcare? Yeah. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'll watch it, but I'm not rooting for who you want me to root for. Oh, they saved him? Okay, that's cool. Why are my premiums still through the roof? I'm not going to the sequel, I'll tell you that. I like all those action movies. I like the president's been kidnapped movies. I like all the action movies are my escape. The world's filled with drama and turmoil and heartbreak. I don't need to go to the movies for that. I can just look outside and be like, it's bad. And so I like action movies because of the escapism. The dumber, the better. That's how it's plot holes, explosions that don't make sense. Give it to me. Why are you in space? Nobody asked. All right, fine. The only thing that can truly take me out of an action movie and really just destroy my suspension of disbelief is when the main action hero, when the star, like main guy, right when he does all the action, right after it's like when his penis just works. Okay. Like whenever he wants it to, just. The sexual prowess under pressure is the part. Okay. My favorite action movies of the current day and age that we're in are the Fast and the Furious movies. Those are my favorite ones. Arguably, sure. But even cheering, we know they're the dumbest ones out there. They're dumb, they know they're dumb, and we know they're dumb, and we're still like, give them to me. How dumb are the last one was called Fast X for Fast 10. There's 12 of them. They're like, it's Fast 10. Like, under 12, they're like, shut up, dummy. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, it's fine. They're the guys that die in one just show back up. They don't even say why. They're just like, hey, they're like, oh, I thought you, yeah. Like, and then they're formulaic, they're elaborate, but they're truly formulaic. Like, right, I'm going to describe one of the Fast and Furii to you right now, and pretty sure that's how you pluralize it. So, and if you don't know the franchise, you will not know if I'm just making this up, just pulling it out of my ass. You will have no. And if you do know the franchise, you still will not be sure, because they just blend into one long Camaro explosion. But say we'll choose anyone from like in the middle. So let's say like 3 to 8. Let's say anywhere in there. You never know what it's going to be. They've already done their first heist. They've established themselves. They've got their millions. You know, this rapscallion crew of Honda Civic jockeys. They've made a few bucks and now they're in different parts of the world, just enjoying their life. We really did it. Nothing can go wrong now. And that's when just a representative from the U.S. government comes in like, we need this crack team of DVD player thieves. When that was relevant, we're the USA, strongest military in the world. Never mind about the Navy SEALs, but we're the strongest military in the world. That's part of the training now. We let puppies lick their toes, and if they crack, they're out. But right now, outside of the best, strongest, big dick military in the world, none of them know how to drive manual. So we really need you guys. We need you, bunch of Corona sipping degenerates, to help us out. What had happened? It's just a group of international terrorists. It's international now. They can't be from a country because that's problematic. But it's still terrorism, but it's very diverse. Who are these terrorists? I don't know. That guy's Cuban. I think he's gay. Whatever. They're all over the place. They're all over the place now. They've stolen the nuclear codes. It's always the codes. It's never the bots, the codes. Apparently somebody's just writing them down in a notebook and just leaving them in a backpack at Starbucks. They always get the codes. It's just somebody like, all right, I got my keys, I got my wallet, chapstick. Oh, my JanSport full of nuclear codes. I can't believe I left it on the bus. So, the terrorists have stolen nuclear codes. They've hidden them in a Lamborghini. That's right, hide something. They've hidden them in a Lamborghini, tastefully colored. No, it's orange, bright orange Lamborghini. And they've stashed it on top of the bad guy's skyscraper. That's where I'd put it. You can't put it in the garage; it'll get scratched. So. There's a bright orange Lamborghini full of nuclear codes on top of a heavily protected skyscraper in a country that we will not name because this movie needs to make money everywhere. So, what did I tell you? You know, you gotta feel. So that's on you guys now to help us because our military can't do it. And they're like, all right, assemble. All right, who, well, let's first, who do we have in our team that might have like a connection? A guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who might have like just a special Lamborghini lifting helicopter. And then just out of the shadows comes former hip hop star, Ludacris. Oh, sure. Of course. Can you imagine it being someone else? Other than Ludacris? I am convinced Ludacris does not know he's in these movies. I think Ludacris, he shows up wearing the clothes he was gonna wear anyway. And they just convince him to say a few key phrases. What? Lamborghini lived in a helicopter. Got it, that's it. And they call him Ludacris half the time, I'm pretty sure. I don't know his character names like Dave or Lugnut, I don't know, but they're like, all right, so Luda, shit, oh, should we cut? Because I called them like, nope, we already blew the budget on special effects. Just keep going. But somehow they get Ludacris to say, yeah, I got a guy. And they're like, all right, cool. And so that's it. We're like, oh, we're like only 20 minutes in the movie. Short and sweet. They cracked the case, you know? So special Lamborghini lifting helicopters coming over the horizon, you know, just approaching. And it's a unique looking helicopter. And bad guy skyscraper's over here. But it's a skyscraper. They got a vantage point with elevation. They're like, that looks like a particular kind of helicopter. Maybe one specifically designed for picking up Lamborghinis full of nuclear codes. And then the bad guys are like, well, should we double check? Like, where are the bad guys? And they just shoot it down. They just shoot it down right there. And you're 25 minutes into the movie, like, well, oh no, what are we gonna do? That was the plan. And So now we got to go back to the clubhouse where everybody's hanging out. And we're like, all right, well, that was our one shot. So now we got to go real unorthodox, maybe something like with math and science and engineering. Do we have somebody in our group with that kind of brain, that analytical thinking that could figure out some way with engineering to get the car off there? Oh, yeah, former model Tyrese, of course. Of course, when I think of engineering mastermind, I think of Tyrese. Tyrese, I believe, is reading the script just below the camera at all times. Oh, what's up? You all need help getting a lamb giant? That says Lamgina, man. That's how it's spelled. Oh. Y'all need to get a Lamborghini off a building. And then they just cut to a whiteboard with a lot of shapes and numbers on it. And he just goes, there. You know, they just had some intern run in, just make geometric shapes and put some math on there. And that's when Tyree's like, well, if you drive it fast enough off the edge of the building and you could just fly it away on account of a Lamborghini has the doors that do this. It's got doors like this. Well, if you get enough speed, it could actually travel non-traditionally. That sounds like Back to the Future. Shut up, man. And so, if you got enough speed, all right, so that's the plan. We'll fly the Lamborghini. To where? Okay, well, I guess we could just get a short-term lease on a good guy skyscraper across the street. We'll just roll in with some cash, talk to the landlord. According to Tyrese's calculations, we really only need floors 8 through 13. We really only need those. Given the trajectory of his math, that's where the Lamborghini should crash into. So we'll get a short-term lease there. Absolutely, short-term lease. All right, but now we have to execute this plan. Who do we have amongst our crew that is brave enough, that is strong enough, that is bald and dumb enough we all know who it is. My man Vincent Diesel. That's who's coming in there. Vincent Diesel. My man Dominic Toretto. I just go by Vincent these days. He hears him talking about, he scoots out from underneath some hot rod that's blowing up in every movie. Every movie, that car just fucking explodes at the end, and the next one starts with him like, Apparently all you need is a 5/8 wrench to be like, back in action. He scoots out with a totally clean tank top and just stands up like, I'll do it. He's only got 5 lines. And he rolls in there. He gets to bad guy skyscraper. He just starts at the bottom, just indiscriminately just kills, shoots this guy. Gets to 1 floor, like, where's the call center? What's happening? No witnesses. Shoots him. Gets him to what? We're just United Airlines customer service. What's going on? Double tap. I gotta fly them tomorrow. He just kills everybody in the skyscraper and gets up to the roof where the Lamborghini full of nuclear codes. He gets in. And there's always a minute where he's just is horny for the car. Where he's like, you know. Why? He fires it up, backs up, shoots it towards the edge of the building. Boom, it goes. He pops the doors. That's it. They're the wings. It's flying. Of course it's flying. We've all agreed that this is real. I'm on my 3rd bag of popcorn just going, of course it worked. Tyrese knows math. I'm absolutely with him on this, 100%. But then there's one terrorist he didn't get yet. There's one guy, and he's just barely hanging on, but he's dedicated to being a terrorist. And he's like, he pulls his AK-47 over by him, and he says something hack, because they didn't pay the writers well enough. So this guy's just like, not on my watch, or some shit. Something dumb. He's got one bullet left and he fires it off, but it doesn't hit Vincent. It doesn't hit like the undercarriage. It just hits the window in the door, which that's where the lift exists for the Lamborghini to fly. Oh no, this whole plan unravels. Now Lamborghini's spiraling and Vincent's like, what are we gonna do? And it's spiraling. It's not gonna go to the designated floors that they gotta rent on. It just smashes into the side, a good guy skyscraper. And Vincent thinks quick. He flips outside. He grabs a seatbelt. He's dangling off the side of the building. He's holding on like an office chair that's hooked on an I-beam that's hanging out of a under construction office. And he's holding on to the Lamborghini by the seatbelt, just like, he gotta do this. And he's looking at his crucifixes just dangling, shining in the sunlight. And he looks at that, and that's when he's like, oh yeah, family. And he just, which is such, that's weird that's what that reminds him of, because the guy in that crucifix, his dad killed him. That's a weird thing to go with. But that's where he gets his strength, family, and and he flings the Lamborghini over his head into the office up there, and he drags himself up, and he's just got glass coming out of his bald head, and he's bleeding. He drags himself in there, and the rest of the crew, they all rush up to make sure he's okay, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that was so close. And the main, like the starlet, his wife, I don't even know, she shows up for the first 5 minutes in the movie and disappears, but then she's there at the end, like she was part of this crew the whole time, and she's like, oh, I can't believe, I'm so glad you're safe, don't you do that ever again. But then she's like, but also the way you saved the world has got me all, every time you just assert yourself this way, we should fuck. And he's just laying there bleeding like, all right. And that's the part of the movie where I'm like, okay, I was with you the whole time. I was with you from Ludacris just being called Ludacris, from Tyrese knowing science. I was on board with everything. Flying Lamborghini, instantly, of course. But there's no way he's fucking racking up for this. And not then, no. I just want one action movie where that's the moment where it really hits the realism, where it's just like everything happened, there's explosions, death, blood, and I just want the main guy to just be like, what, are you fucking around? Did you not see what I just... Can I get like 20 minutes? Jesus Christ. I see. This is what horned you up? What's wrong? I just killed all those guys. And that, not to mention, I ran up the whole building, but those guys had families. I'm sad about that. You don't really... And also, I've been at my target heart rate all day with this plan. I think this is rebar that went through a kidney. My blood pressure's plummeting, but I mean, if you need it, we can give it a shot, but it won't be good. I hope you're into people watching, because we're gonna have to do it in the ambulance, because I am fighting off the tunnel vision right now of a blackout, and I need fluids, not sexy fluids, vital fluids. I need fluids and monitoring, and I will be passing out throughout the whole thing. But if you want to give it a shot with the EMTs looking over us, I could try and thumb it in for as long as I'm conscious. I mean, that's the best I can promise you is every 30 seconds, I'm just going to be slapping my dick against my hand like a TV remote with a dead battery. So, I mean, we can try, but I'd love 6 to 8 weeks for a full recovery, just to be honest with you there. So that's... Just give me an ounce of reality, Fast and Furious.
I still get, when I fly, which is rare these days, I still get the random search, right? Which is obviously drug related at my age. Now, for example, fairly recently I went to South Africa to do the Cape Town Comedy Festival. Very privileged, only white acts on. It was absolutely a brilliant experience. Although I have to say, a little bit tricky for me going to South Africa. And you can laugh at me rather than with me on this one, because I am still boycotting South African products because of apartheid. I bet there's people in there that don't even know what apartheid is. It was that long ago. And I think what it is I'm one of these people that hold on to my political grudges. I think a lot of old people do that. No matter how outdated or unfashionable they become, you're still there, that's who I am, that's what I believe in. And my kids laugh at me, and I get that. But I think what's happened is I've turned into a modern version of my granddad, and I'm sure some of you remember this generation of British boycotters. He refused to buy Japanese stuff because of what happened to our lads during the war. And we laughed at him. But he kept it up till the day he died, which was in the late 1970s, which meant he had fuck all in his house. No fridge, no radio, no television. I doubt he even had the means to know the war had ended, the silly old sod. Then here I am doing exactly the same thing. But you know, when you're white in English, how far back do you go with this stuff? What? Croissants after 1066? No, I'm not going to IKEA till the Vikings say they're fucking sorry. So I got the random search twice. That's not random, is it? You get it on the way there, you get it on the way back. That's not fucking random. And it's very difficult when you're older. You know, be prepared for this. People on authority, they're all younger than you. You can't even take them seriously. He's pulled me over. I have to go through the process. I've done it so many times. And he looked at me and he went, "Did you know, sir, that it's illegal to bring drugs and firearms into the country?" Who in here doesn't fucking know that, right? I thought, why is he speaking to me like I'm a bit of a fucking imbecile? So I went, fucking hell! It's illegal now, is it? This must be the Brexit thing kicking in. I think you should put a sign up for something as important as that. Now you fucked up all me gift ideas. Then he brought out the drug sniffer dog. Now, I've never been sniffed up by a drug sniffer dog in my life, given my previous lifestyle. Comes as a bit of surprise. So I thought, oh, this is going to be good. And immediately, I looked at the dog and I thought, wow, when I was younger, and maybe got up to a little bit of mischief, I always thought if ever I was going to get nicked by a dog, it'd be a German Shepherd. There's no shame in that, is there? Cocker fucking spaniel. How humiliating would that be to be nicked by your nan's dog, basically? But then I had a brainwave. I thought, hold on a minute. Drug sniffer dog, what a great pet that would make. You'd never lose your drugs ever again. And you'd always know where to buy drugs. Just take your dog for a walk. Although on a sadder note, when they finish their careers and end up in Battersea Dogs Home, you think, well, the other dogs in there treat them like grasses and nonces in the nick because they work for the old bill, don't they? Hey, the fucking Rottweilers want to see you later, mate, all right? I was just going to say my drug of choice has changed, but now it's a drug of necessity. Painkillers. I don't know if I'm the only one. Most people I know that are over 50, certainly over 60, are on painkillers now because they're suffering from what my doctor calls, and I've got to tell you, this pisses me off, wear and tear. Wear and tear. It's a bit generic, isn't it? I want something with a Latin name, don't you? I said, can we call it wearers tearers? It sounds more serious, isn't it? So I wake up in the morning with me wearers tearers, as I'm sure one or two of you do, and I found a cup of coffee, a couple of painkillers, just takes the edge off the day. But it's actually harder to get painkillers than cocaine. What kind of world are we living in? Cocaine, 30 minutes on the phone. Painkillers, they ask you lots of questions before they hand it over, don't they? You wouldn't get a cocaine dealer doing that, would you? Are you on any other medication? Hey. When they do that in chemists now, start going, of course I am. What do you think I am, a fucking lightweight? Do you operate heavy machinery? I went, do I sound like a northerner to you? Yeah, I'm in my lunch break, mate. I've got to get back on the spinning jenny in 5 minutes. I'm from London, we've got fucking computers now. Why are you asking me these questions? And they went, well, here's the thing, sir, after 3 days of taking these painkillers, you could become addicted. And I thought, who would look at my face and think, that bloke needs advice on drugs and firearms? I said, don't worry about me. I must have been part of every youth culture, every drug-related youth culture since the late 1960s. I must have sampled every drug we've all ever heard of. You tell him it's going to be now, then? At my age, after 3 days of taking Nurofen, that's going to be the thing, is it, that finally and eventually pushes me over the fucking edge? Got me wife on the game to feed me habits, sell me blonde kids to Romanian gypsies, yeah. It was all going all right, so they brought that Nurofen Plus out. That's what fucked me right now.
So you know what else I used to look up to, right? I used to look up to other people's dads. Because my dad was a great bloke. I thought everyone's dad must be a great bloke. It's just going to work out. Didn't work out at all. I became a dad, and I figured out it doesn't take that much to become one. Now, it's almost as if they let any old fuckwit become a dad now. It's amazing. There's a dad who's got kids at my kid's school, right? And he's a cool dad. I can't stand cool dads. I am just having a second pop at youth, cruising around trying to elicit high fives from kids, that sort of shit. It's contemptible. This guy, right, he's one of these guys. He's in his 40s and he's got fashion hair. And not that reverse sideburn look you sometimes see on the modern youth. No. He's got like spiked up hair. All the way around, spiked up hair. And he's tall, but not tall enough for me not to know what's going on up there. Just looks like a fenced off slice of Devon. And all the other parents there at school pick-up time, they're largely mothers, so they're not tall enough to see what's going on, but I know. And like, oh, leave him alone. He's a bloody great bloke. He's just a square peg. He's a special ray of sunshine in an otherwise flavourless world. He's amazing. It's bullshit. I can't stand this prick. He's a loser. He's trying to negate something shit going on in his life. You'll see. And most parents, right, who are resigned to the natural ageing process, when you turn up at school time to pick up your kids, you just turn up and through gritted teeth go, get in the fucking car, you little thing. Cool dad, because he's cool dad, he comes flying through the front gates on a skateboard, doing that shaky telephone symbol on his way in. And this thing, right, that's fine if you're an actual skater on your commute between acts of vandalism and petty crime. Or maybe it's all right if you're fresh off a mid-flight brawl and you've been zip-tied to seat 38G and you're posing for a photo with one of your mates doing the double, the Gold Coast Denpasar salute. Or as it's better known in the media, the Jetstar jiggle. While I'm down here too, I'm not going to be one of those comedians who rips into Bali. Heaps do that. It's too much. So Bali's fine. Like statistically, about a third of you make multiple trips to Bali, and I'm not here to judge you, filthy fucking pigs. That's not my bag of chips. But when you're going to Bali, just remember who you're talking to when you announce your trip to Bali. I work with this bloke, and he says that he goes to Bali by himself a fair bit, which should raise eyebrows on its own merits. When he sees he's going, he says, oh, no, I'm going to Bali, but I'm going to the nice part. I go to the beautiful part. I don't go to that shit part where there's Aussies bashing each other on the beach and there's chip packets and Band-Aids floating around the ocean. Yuck. No, it's disgusting. I go to the beautiful part. You wouldn't believe it. It's just over the hill. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's just full of om and spirituality and noticeably less dogs on the dance floor. And if you're lucky, in the beautiful part, you'll bump into some of those perverts who've had to relocate their businesses from the hinterland areas of Australia over to a country where collecting vulnerable women is slightly less frowned upon. So, yeah, slippery old slope yoga, isn't it? But that's it. With yoga, right, 1 minute you're in a beautiful Byron Bay studio just down-dogging and you look over your shoulder and the yoga instructor's back there tucking his stiffy into the sash of his caftan. And you go, that's fine, that's probably just an isolated incident. And the next minute you're in an exclusive holistic femaleness retreat in Bali in a remote location, just getting invited to the guru's special gazebo of oneness to sweep it out and administer his daily perineum massage. And that's the nice part of Bali. I I'd rather be down in Cooter getting a half stub of your bin tank smashed across the back of my fucking head any day. It's one of those places too where men come back, right? This guy I work with, he came back from his latest trip to Bali. And he said, look, I've been to Bali again. I brought back a little souvenir. I go, man, that sounds sus, man. Souvenirs are fine, but when you say little souvenir, we're not talking about a snow dome or a fridge magnet, are we? No. You've gone and got yourself another cluster of boils around the base of your tockley, haven't you, filthy animal? He said, no, nothing like that. And how dare you, one of my oldest and closest friends, judged me based only on the cliche that I've been to Southeast Asia by myself. Again. Particularly galling in front of my new fiancée here, whose anglicised name is Little Souvenir. So this thing, right, that's fine in those situations. But the Ridgy Dish, that's got no business at school pickup. I saw Cool Dad, right. This fucking hacky sack owner he was at a kid's party in a public park. It was one of those parties where they'd set up a slack line, which is a ratchet strap that the moderns put between two trees to act as a handy trip hazard for people like me. And the kids can try to balance on it. It's a good time, whatever. But Cool Dad, because he's Cool Dad, he had to go himself. And right in front of everyone, he's attempted a backflip dismount and ended up with one leg either side of the thing. Which most men on their better late than never path to maturity would see doing your nuts on a truck strap as a watershed moment. But not this poon. No way. He's one of these guys who says things like, oh, age is just a number. Well, yeah, well, so's bone density, you fuckstick. So, last time I saw this negligent parent, he was down at a trampoline centre. I don't know if any of you have one near your houses, but there's a trampoline centre near where I live. And it's trampoline centres. It's a place you can take your kids and they can just rattle their brains about for 5 or 6 hours in a row under what must be said is very lax supervision. And then you just take them home, put them to bed, hope they wake up. I was down there, right, and I saw Cool Dad then. Because he's Cool Dad, he got himself a wristband and had a go himself while his kids were on there. It was just heaps of kids and Cool Dad double bouncing him, having a bloody great time. And after only 10 minutes of frolicking, I heard that scream, that horrible scream you only ever hear from children when they're thinking, shit, we should have got ourselves a more appropriate hero in our lives. One more in touch with his ageing physical limitations, such as our new stepfather, Daryl. Because Cool Dad, he was being wheeled onto an ambulance with a compressed spine and a broken nose inflicted by his own knee. And he's in quite a lot of pain. He had his hands on his head there, and he had to take one of them off to show us that he's all right. Causing everyone else to see what was going on up there. And then they knew what I already knew. The Cool Dads are no good fucking losers. Just trying to hide their baldness one way or another.
Very, very private. Every morning when I go into Costa, I give a fake name every single time. Don't know why I do that, right? In fact, I've given you a fake name now. I go to Starbucks. I wouldn't be seen dead in a Costa. You kidding me? The name I do give, though, is John Spencer. Now, you don't know this, but I did some research, found out the local area manager of all the Starbucks near me is called John Spencer. That gets you a good cup of coffee. But I lie all the time. I lie to my friends. Like if I'm out at a restaurant and everyone's saying, oh, what are you going to order? What are you going to order? I hate that question. So I lie. Right? I hate that question because I'm like, you're going to find out in 2 minutes. Why are we bothering with finding out this stuff? So I'm like, oh, I don't know, the scallops. And then a big conversation breaks out about the way I'm pronouncing scallops. And then the waiter comes over, I'm like, the steak, please. And my friend's like, what? You said, we had a whole conversation about the way they pronounce scallops, and now you ordered the steak. Are you telling the truth about anything, Stuart? Did you even get here by hot air balloon? I'll never tell. But it's so difficult these days to be truly private because, like, social media, the algorithms know everything about us. They know where we are, what we like, but they're not listening in. Found this out. They're not listening in, and I think that's a shame. That's a shame, right? I want it listening in. Are you kidding me? I'm fucking funny. I don't mind. If you're in the government, who have you got today? Stuart. Oh, you're in for a good day. I don't want them knowing where I am. I'm 39. I go to M&M World way too much. I'm obsessed with that place. If you don't know about M&M World, it is a shop in the middle of London, the most expensive place to have a shop in the entire country, and it is 4 floors, and all it is no one's favourite chocolate. That's all they sell. It has to be a criminal organisation. That is the only explanation. I don't understand it. I'm obsessed. But because of the fact that you're in here with me, your algorithm will now be affected by being here with me. You'll start getting served adverts after the show for gelées. And presumably my algorithm will be affected by being in here with you, and I'll start getting served tickets to a more mainstream comedian. Always hurts when that one gets a laugh. I realised that I was having a problem with privacy when I was sat on a train and I suddenly realised I was panicking because I didn't want people to know I was getting off at the next stop. I thought that's too private, right? But you know that feeling when you're on the train and you're just sort of minding your own bees, just like, yeah. You know that feeling? You're just minding your own bit, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. You know that feeling, right? Yeah. Sorry, I know what's happened here. Bees. It's short for business. It's not normal length for bees. If any of you are like, oh, I could take bees on a train, trust me. If you take one thing from this show, you cannot take bees on a train. What? Fine, I'll get a taxi. What? Fine, I'll take the hot air balloon. But yeah, I was sitting there just like minding my own bees, just taking it all in. Yeah. And you know that feeling, and then you spot them, right? That person, they're putting on their coat, they're packing away their book, and you think, you fucking mug. It's fucking amateur hour over here. I got the cut of your jib, sunshine. You're getting off at the next stop, you pathetic fucking fuck. Now, I would hate anyone to think those terrible words about me. So I do everything I can to make it look like there is no way I'm getting off at the next stop. I try and look as comfortable as possible. I start taking layers off down to the base gilet. Couple of books out, get a couple of books on the go, right? And they're like, oh, this guy's got a lot of reading to do. He's here for a while. And then if that's not working, I'll start a haircut. Yeah. Not on myself. I've got that Play-Doh set, you know, where you force it through the skull and then it comes out. Bloody hell, he's got old fringe to do. He's here for a while. And then just to seal the deal, just in case anyone's on the edge, right, I'll just start a rumour. Classic me. That is classic me. And we all know how rumours work, right? You say something subtle that someone wants to gossip about. So the person next to you hears it, they're like, oh, I've got to tell everyone. I've got to tell everyone on the carriage. Right, something subtle just to tease the fact that you might be on the train for a little while longer than they expect. Just something casual. Just be casual, just for them to... I am in this for the long haul. That goes around the carriage like wildfire. Of course it does, right? That sort of gossip, you can't let that lie. And then just before the doors close at my stop, I fling everything out. Gilet flapping in the wind, Play-Doh hair going everywhere. I dive out after it. Everyone's like, what? What the hell was that? I don't know. It looked like a really comfortable man. Yeah, I heard rumours he was in it for the long haul. Yeah, I even took a photograph of him just in case someone asked me to design a pamphlet about how comfortable train travel can be. Oh, you're a graphic designer, are you? No, but I harbour ambition. You're human. I'm human. And then they kiss. What are we talking about?
Hey, Jack, has everyone here had the privilege of eating a kebab whilst completely shit-faced. It's insane, isn't it? Like, it's biblical. The way the food melts inside your mouth like the inside of a Lindt chocolate ball. Like, what is that? Also, I know it's a comedy show, I don't want to get too scientific, but when you eat when you're drunk, the calories don't count. It's like eating on a train, it's not technically a meal. Smart, smart, smart. The thing is, I've got this cute thing I do, it's so adorable. When I'm drunk and emotional, I can now eat 2 kebabs in the space of time it takes the average human to eat half a kebab. What? Where do you put it? It's just the metabolism thing. Like, look at my wrist. Thing is, I found out in a horrible way. How bullshit is this? If you go into a kebab shop by yourself late at night, crying with a tit hanging out, and order 2 kebabs, they're like, 2 kebabs, where's your friend? What the fuck? I want food, not shame! Luckily, I've got smart about it. I'll tell you what I do, very simple. What you want to do, go to one kebab shop. Order 1 kebab. And then you eat it. On the way to the second kebab shop. It's late at night. There's people in the second kebab shop. You don't want to get caught out. That'll be embarrassing. Wipe yourself down for crumbs. I like to use my training at the Bauer School of Drama to take on the role of woman who has never heard of a kebab before in her life. And you go in the second shop like... What is this place? Sorry, I usually don't come here. I love salad. This is so mad for me. Is it table service? I don't know. Who is Donna? So cute! To do the show. It's only because I'm always so paranoid whatever I'm doing that everyone's watching me and judging me. You know that feeling, particularly when I'm eating, everyone's looking at me like, oh, why is she eating that? I cannot get over it. I think it's because whatever I do in my life, I'm always like, this has got to be a scene. Surely I'm on, you know? We should be filming this. I just watched way too much reality TV show and grew up in a drama school, and I think it really does a number on your head. Have you guys seen the film The Truman Show? Yeah, it's a good film, right? I feel like most people watch The Truman Show and go, Jim Carrey, a comedic genius as well as a great dramatic actor. I watched it and I was like, oh, that is such a good idea for a TV show. It's amazing, it's such a good idea. Someone must have made it. Someone would have made it, it's so good. But if they'd have made it, I would know about it. Because I watch all those shows. So if it's been made, and I don't know about it, Truman has to be me. What is so frightening about saying that, and most of you going, really quiet, is it just makes me so much more paranoid that you're all actors and you think the scene's gone wrong. Like I figured it out live on stage in front of you, what are you gonna do? Like I just, think about it, how would I know? How would I know? My first day in life would be my first day on set. My entire life, everyone would be acting around me. And like any baby in any long-running TV show, like EastEnders or Coronation Street, that baby is cast because they are cute. It's around 6 years old, the director looks at that kid and goes, cute kid, can't act. Better replace him. Can't replace me. I'm being Truman'd. Or Bowered. Need to get me some acting lessons. Easiest way to do that, start the Bauer School of Drama in my house. full range. They'd finally be able to capture a side of me that I could never show people. Like, I don't know, my vulnerable side. Like, I can't even say it. That is how afraid I am of being vulnerable. I just think I need to be tricked into being vulnerable. I need to be tricked into it. My whole life I've just wanted one of those moments where people look at me and they go, oh my God, what's going on with her? Do you think she's okay? Because no one ever asks randomly, and I'm always doing a show, so no one ever thinks that I'm not okay. No one asks when you're a child because they can't figure it out, but no one asks when you're an adult because they assume you can tell them, because they assume that you are able to communicate. I can't. I just have to hope people figure it out. I think we all know this feeling from school. Like at school, my dream at school was, you know that moment when you're sitting in the classroom, teacher at the front, and the receptionist comes in with a note for one of the students. And we know this note. It's usually that someone's forgotten their school lunch money or like forgot their PE kit. But every now and again, this note was something more. And whenever this receptionist came in, I was just like, oh, is it death? Is it for me? Just so excited at the prospect of being told something awful in front of people. Want to hear something ridiculous? All four of my grandparents died when I was at school. My parents told me when I got home. No one said a no. What a waste! Could have been a beautiful scene! I mean, how much drama did I want in my life? Like, seriously. I was raised inside of a drama school. I did drama GCSE. I was surrounded by drama and it was never enough. Of course it was never enough. I mean, look at me. I'm a white middle-class woman from a white middle-class town. There was no drama. We created our own. Our only currency growing up was imagined emotional trauma. And my God, did we love it. When I was 13, our two drama teachers at my school did something amazing. They decided that everyone in my year had to write and perform a monologue to the rest of their class, which is a terrifying exercise. And we could do anything we wanted. Like, it could be comedic, silly, slapstick even. But my God, we went dark. And we went dark hard. The boys, they were okay at it. Like, they were okay. Like, every boy in my year pretended to be a drug addict on the back of a motorcycle, which was just like a classroom chair. They turned around and they were like, oh my God, I'm just so addicted to smack. And it's like, okay, George, your mum shops at Waitrose, you're fine. The girls, so much worse. We'd read Jacqueline Wilson. We knew what we were doing. One girl in my year, incredible, age 13, wrote and performed a monologue pretending to be a wife who had just murdered her ex-husband, wiping the blood off her hands. Another girl, age 13, wrote and performed a monologue pretending to be an evacuee child, lost at a station during World War II. Amazing. My friend, age 12, wrote and performed a monologue pretending to be a 6-year-old, writing a letter to her daddy, who had just died in 9/11. Her dad worked in the Domino's in town. We saw him all the time. He'd never been to America. You know what she got? Full marks. Now, there was one thing all my classmates' monologues had in common. They were dramatic, sure. But you knew they weren't true. Because they were set in a different time zone, or they were playing a different age. And I cannot make this clear enough, that my monologue was not true. But my God, did I try and make it plausible. Because I wrote a monologue Written by me, directed by the Anne Bauer School of Drama at home. She had to be involved, she had to. About a 13-year-old girl who was being sexually abused by her dad. I wore my own pajamas that I ripped myself at the crotch for extra marks. I got an A. Thank you. And I cannot make this clear enough, because this is truly the message of the show. My dad has never hugged me, let alone fucked me.
I'm thinking of, you know, everyone says that you've got to upskill, like learn to code or something. I'm thinking of reskilling as a guide dog, mainly for the uniform. You've seen those sexy little vests they got, those slutty little harnesses they make guide dogs wear. I'd love one of those. You'd respect me if I was wearing one of those. An outfit that says, I'd love to stop and sniff your ass, but I'm on the job. I'm dedicated to my work. God, I'd be such a brilliant guide dog, you know. I'd be chatty like a cab driver. That would be like my thing. You know, like it hooks me up to the lead, and I'm like, all right, boss, where are we going today? Don't worry, I'll be your eyes and ears. He's like, just eyes is fine. I love seeing a guide dog. Because they're the embodiment of like dutiful solemnity. Do you know what I mean? They stick by their person through thick and thin. Other dogs, they try and distract them, play with them, have fun. Guide dogs not having it. Have you seen this? Other dogs do to guide dogs what we do to the guards outside Buckingham Palace. But they're like that. They're not having it. Do you not think it's a bit heartbreaking sometimes when you see a guide dog? Because what? They're like a Labrador or a Golden Retriever or something. That's what they are, right? Famously like the happiest looking dog. But a guide dog's got such a straight face, you're like, wow, you must take your job really seriously. Do you know what I mean? I understand it, because it's a hard job to have for a dog. It's a tough life being a guide dog. Your owner has the best stick in the world, but it's the one stick they're never going to throw. Imagine you're a dog and your owner has that stick and they never throw it. You'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's why they look so serious. Every day they wake up straight in their vest, look in the mirror and go, today's the day that thing goes flying. You believe it. Oh, man. I think mental health care has really gone downhill since the 1800s. Do you know what I mean? They used to put you in a big soft hotel with all your friends. Now you have to have like an emotional support animal, like a therapy pet, which is rubbish. It sucks. It's like, oh, you're suicidal. Would it help if we let you take a dog on the plane? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't get myself out of bed in the mornings, but I'll try getting a dog through airport security. See if that helps somehow. But then experience in this magical world, it kills the cynic in all of us eventually, doesn't it? Well, I'm saying that I got one of like a therapy pet and it changed my life. I got a therapy ant. That's right, I'm an ant mum. And but the government, they're going to take my ant away because the breed I have, it's called an American Ant XL. Size of this cunt, you would not believe. 8 seats he takes up on the plane. And the government, they're going to confiscate my ant because they say that my breed of ant is responsible for over 90% of cases of toddlers being stolen from a picnic. Can you believe that? Not my Brutus. You just have to get to know him. Like foaming at the mandibles. I live with my girlfriend, just the two of us, and 2 other people.
I try and be a real parent. Right? And what I mean by that is try and be real. If I'm a little bit selfish during the birth of my child, I'll tell you, but I'm never going to claim to be perfect. I hate fake social media parenting. Make it seem like they're amazing parents. And what they do is they do this thing where they say things their kids have said. They post things that their kids have said. Oh my God, my son just said this and this is mental. And it's always some like socially conscious woke point that this 3-year-old has made. And you know that 3-year-old didn't say it because you met that 3-year-old. And that 3-year-old is a fucking idiot. Last time I saw him, he was eating a pair of socks with a knife and fork and wearing potato waffles on his feet. So I don't know if he's making statements like that. You know what I'm talking about? It's parents who will say things their kids have said, so you think, oh, you've raised them so well. And then they blow up. These posts blow up. You know, some woman, you know, being like, was driving my daughter through Belfast earlier, and she said to me, Mummy, can I ask you something? And I said, darling, you can ask me anything. In brackets, that's a relationship we have. She said, Mummy, is that a man or a woman in the car beside our car? Is it a man or a woman? Because I'm not sure. And I said, yes. And she said, Mummy, thank you. I guess love is love. 12,000 likes. And you know it didn't happen, you know? Some guy being like, I was driving my son to school today and he said to me, Daddy, can I have more pocket money? And I said, come on, son. There's a cost of living crisis on. There are people less fortunate than us. You know, not everyone gets bought the very expensive gifts that I'm able to buy for you and your brothers and sisters. Why do you need more money? You should actually be thinking of ways to give your money away. And my son said, like all the charity work you do, Daddy. And I said, son, I do not like to go on about that. And my son said, but Daddy, did you not do that abseil down that hotel in 2002? With your bad back, that must have been so sore. I said, son, shush. I said, son, why do you need more pocket money anyway? And he said, well, Daddy, I don't think we should just stop at walking a mile in the shoes of asylum seekers. He said, Daddy, I need more money because I want to buy shoes for asylum seekers. Daddy, I want to buy a pair of memory foam Skechers for a Syrian immigrant. That's what I want to do, Daddy. My wee man. He's 7 months old. You know that didn't happen because kids don't talk like that. My kids don't talk like that. If I tweeted and posted what my kid said, my 3-year-old, it would not go viral. It wouldn't change the world because he's not this like political-minded, woke guy. My 3-year-old just talks like a 3-year-old. I can't tweet this. My son said to me recently, I was driving him in the car. My son said, Daddy, can I ask you something? I said, yeah, mate, what do you want to know? He said, Daddy, being serious, do you think anyone has ever picked their nose so hard that they died? I said, I don't know, we're looking that up. Let me tell you, we're looking that up when we get home. That is a cracker. I fucking... Imagine. My wee man. You want to learn them stuff as well? Want to be a good teacher for my son, but you don't always know the answer straight away. I was driving my son recently. My son said, Daddy, can I ask you something? He's 3. I said, what do you want to know, mate? You ask me anything, I'll tell you the answer. He said, Daddy, see all the seas in the world? Is that all one sea, Daddy, or is it all wee different seas? I said, fucking... What? 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 Fucking hell. What do you mean? Is it? What do you? Do you mean like is all the different seas I tell you about like on the wee map we have, like I show you them, like the Atlantic Sea, the Irish Sea, and the Mediterranean? I said, do you mean are they all like separate, like individual bodies of water, or is it all like all joined up seas? He said, yeah, Daddy, are they all different or is it all joined up? I said, I'm on the hard shoulder with the hazards on, right? I said, well, they have different names, so there would be different... We'll ask your mummy when we get home, we'll have a laugh for her trying to explain it. She won't know, some adults wouldn't know that, and you should think about that, because some adults don't... Fucking... Shut up. And he started asking me more stuff, so I obviously just put all the back windows down, sped up, because if you're on the motorway, once you hit 70, it goes in his wee ears, and he's so, Daddy Meardrew, so I said, well, stop being weird. Like you guys know the answer. Yeah, it's a big giant, see? All joined up. Wouldn't be possible.
No, my dad doesn't like hip-hop. I like hip-hop. We have arguments sometimes, me and my dad, but I think he's starting to win the argument because hip-hop confuses me. Every hip-hop song now just seems to have a voicemail in the middle of it. Right in the middle of the song. It'll just be like, hi, Kendrick, it's your mom. Just leaving you this message to say, keep striving for greatness. And always believe, where's Kendrick Lamar getting all these inspirational voicemails from? You know, if I put my voicemail in a song, do you know what it would sound like? Oh, fuck, sorry. And that's all they ever are. You can't make hip-hop out of that, unfortunately.
And it's quite odd that I've got this obsession with memory because, not to keep bringing it up, but I do have a boyfriend. And we've been together for quite a while now, but for the first 6 months of our relationship, he had severe short-term memory loss. Yeah, legitimately. That's 100%. Just full short-term memory loss. To the point where he basically couldn't create new memories, which is the perfect foundation for a new relationship. And it was, by the way, before I get into this, he's fine now. He's fine, his memory is back to normal, he's completely fine, but for this 6 months, he just couldn't remember anything. And I need to tell you that now, because you need to get on board. I've written my favourite joke of the show about this, so climb aboard. Essentially, it got to the point where it was so bad that he couldn't remember anything in his day-to-day life, basically. So we'd spend the day together, and then in the evening, I'd have to remind him, like, what we got up to that day. I'd throw in things to make him happy, like 8 blowjobs. And it was just a random medical event. It's not like anything obvious had caused it as well. It's not like he met my sister. And a short time after that, the memory loss kicked in. It was just totally random. But the reason our relationship could still work and it wasn't a full, like, 50 first date situation is his short-term memory was gone, but his long-term memory was fine. And we actually knew each other quite well because we went to school together. He was the teacher. Just kidding. For legal purposes, that is a joke. My boyfriend is not a... What's the male version of a cougar? A predator. I'll tell you, before I tell you more about the memory stuff, I'll tell you a little bit about Sean, because I love him. He's the love of my life. I know that. But he is a nerdy little loser. To give an example, we're moving here to Melbourne. We're on the plane. I see he's using the plane Wi-Fi to search for the phrase Australian singles. Yeah. I was like, what is this bastard up to? We haven't even arrived yet. He's trying to cheat on me in advance. I asked him about it. I was like, why are you searching that? He's like, I'm trying to find a website in which I can buy single Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading cards. And I was like, that's so much worse. I wish he was cheating. Would have been easier to explain to my parents. I was quite nervous to tell my parents I was in a relationship. I was nervous to tell anyone, really, because I developed this rule of not telling anyone I was dating anyone until it had been about 3 months, you know, because you feel like that first 3 months, it's a bit dicey, you're not sure, and it could fall apart at any moment. And I kept doing that where I'd start dating someone, I'd tell everyone, I'm like, by the way, I'm dating someone. Then like a week later, I'd be like, by the way, never mind. So being that 3 months. Not everyone follows that rule, by the way, but they are stupid. Dear friend of mine, she does not follow that rule. She was in our group chat recently. She messages us. She's like, hey guys, me and my man's 6-month anniversary is coming up. I don't know what to get him. What should I get him? I was like, oh, I didn't even know you had a man's. When's your 6-month anniversary? She was like, September. I was like, bitch, that's 5 months away. Don't get him anything. She's good. No, I do like her. She does have pyramid scheme energy, but... So, it had been about 4 months. I decide, finally tell my mum. I say, I'm in a relationship. Also, he's got short-term memory loss. And I think she was so excited by the first part, she did not give a shit about the second part. So the first thing that Sean was trying to do at this time to try and solve this problem was he was trying to get an appointment at the memory doctor, which is a thing. And he couldn't get an appointment because they were fully booked out, which I thought was very funny. Because I was like, surely you could just turn up. I get the feeling some people might miss their appointment for the memory doctor. And I still maintain to this day, I feel like the memory doctor was a little bit of a scam, okay? So each session with the memory doctor cost $400. 2 weighted blankets. $400. You had to have multiple sessions. If you did not turn up to a session, they still charged you the full amount, and they did not send reminder texts. Yeah. But joke's on them because Sean forgot to pay. I was optimistic at first. I was optimistic for the memory doctor. We finally got an appointment. We get into the waiting room. We sit down on the couch, and it's memory foam. I'm like, these guys are good. They don't miss a trick here. But then it quickly I became unsure. The first thing the memory doctor got Sean to do was a depression test. And, you know, he's not feeling depressed at all at this time, by the way. Like, in his mind, he's getting 8 blowjobs a day. He's living his best life. Has anyone done it? I know this is a weird question to ask, but has anyone done a depression test before? Make some noise. Woo, yeah. Someone did a yee-haw, like less so. The only reason I'm asking that is because I've done it before, and I just want you to back me up that there's a weird question about halfway through the depression test, which is, how indecisive are you? Then you've got to choose. Between 1 and 10. Like, I'm there the whole time, like, oh my God, I don't know. Anyway, he does the depression test. The results come back. He has no signs of depression. And this is where I was like unsure about this guy. He was like, okay, well, it doesn't seem like you're depressed, but we're just going to give you some antidepressants anyway, just in case. And I was like, oh, like, it feels like antidepressants are so useful. They're so helpful. I've been on them before. I think they're an amazing resource, but they're not just like a just-in-case thing, I feel. It's not like pop them like a Barocca in the morning. Just in case. But he goes on them anyway. He goes on them for a few months, and he's noticing no difference. He's just kind of getting the side effects and not really any results. His memory is still gone. And I go, finally, after it's been a while, I think we should get a second opinion. And I believe that. I believe that opinions are like assholes. Better to have two. I thought this with therapy. Like, when I had my first experience with therapy and it wasn't good, I didn't know that you could just get another therapist. I thought that would be like cheating. Like, I had to pretend that I was like, oh, I'm cured, by the way. Because it's so hard to find a therapist in the first place. The way you do it, if you don't know, good on you. But Well done. But you weren't attacked by a golf club. And what you do is you Google therapist near me. You know, I don't want to travel. And you go to a website and it'll be like just like a bunch of random strangers' faces, and you go, oh, you look happy. And then you read their bio and it's just a list of all their favourite kinds of trauma. And you're like, you seem fun. My first experience with therapy was not good. It was this lady and she was very spiritual. And I think spirituality is great if you are spiritual. I'm not. I'm very logical. She was very namaste. And I was like, I don't want to stay. She would do this thing where I would be like, I'm feeling angry about this. And she'd be like, what colour is your anger? And I'd be like, I don't think that way. And she would press me on it. She'd be like, you have to participate. And I'd be like, okay, red. And she'd be like, you're making so much progress. I was like, no, I had just recently watched the movie Inside Out. I was just imagining those little guys running around. The other thing she'd do is, as she was talking to me and asking me questions, she would cross and uncross her legs and basically show me her entire crotch. It was very distracting. She'd be like, what colour is your anger? I'd be like, red and lacy. She'd be like, when did your problem start? I'd be like, the Bush administration. So after about 6 months of all of this happening and Sean not getting better, I just bring him along to my GP just to see if she has any other ideas of what it could be. And it was just like our first moment of hope. She listed off a bunch of different things it could be, but she's like, well, first of all, you've had a blood test, right? And he's like, I can't remember. So Sean goes and gets a blood test. The results come back, and it turns out he was severely B12 deficient. He's a vegetarian, and get this, he stopped eating eggs. That's what caused the deficiency, and in turn the memory loss. Like, he was on antidepressants, but it was eggs. Eggs can be life-changing. I wish you guys could have been inside my brain when we found out it was eggs. I was losing my mind. I was like, it was eggs this whole time. You know that girl in your friend group that's like, I just need my Sunday brunch. Believe her. She's on to something. So Sean had to get a B12 shot, because when you're that deficient, you can't just slam an omelette. Like, you have to get, like, what I assume is the yolk just injected directly into your veins. I'm not a scientist. So the doctor was like, you'll notice a difference right away. And I would say within maybe 2 minutes. It was crazy. He was holding a polystyrene cup of water. The B12 went in. He crushed the cup in his hands and said, I'm so powerful. It was like he'd acquired all of the Infinity Stones. It was amazing. He was just fine. Like, he just basically within the week, it was slowly sort of getting better and better and better until his memory was back to normal. And it was just so absurd. And since he got this checked out and since he came to my doctor, he also opened up about a couple other things that he's been struggling with. He's realised he's lived his entire life with ADHD and not known. And he's given me permission to talk about this, by the way. I'm not just laying out all of his medical history. I did ask him on a no-egg day. But that made me so sad for him as well, because imagine having ADHD and severe short-term memory loss at the same time. Like he was just wandering around his house being like, well, I think I'm hyper-focused on something. And it's so weird for me because I always thought, because I'd been single for so long, I thought I was single because I had really high standards. Then this shriveled little man came into my life. I was like, come to mama. Got myself a little do-up. You can't build a man, but you can renovate. So that 6 months of his life, still a blip. Still can't remember that 6 months, which is strange because we started dating at the beginning of that 6 months. So in his mind, he was just in a medical clinic. A girl he went to school with wandered in and went, I'm your girlfriend, by the way. Don't question it. Little memories come back here and there sometimes. Like if it's a repetitive thing, he sometimes goes, oh, I've remembered something. He remembers one thing, which was every night before he went to bed, he remembers walking past the kitchen, looking at the toaster and seeing cold toast. So what would happen is every morning he'd get up and be like, toast for breakfast this morning. Go about his whole day, go, all right, bedtime. Fuck. Kind of like an involuntary low-carb diet. Like, if you want to get rid of bread, first get rid of eggs. So we've since looked up the memory doctor online and seen his reviews. 1.5 stars. We should have known that the eggs were going to be better just on reviews alone. We spent $1,200 with this guy, 3 sessions, $1,200 for him to give us no valuable information. Apart from randomly in conversation, he recommended these kiwi fruit ice blocks. And they're so yummy. Kiwi fruit, or as we say in New Zealand, fruit. They're so yummy. And I had one the other day and I was like, I think it was all worth it. So he was on antidepressants, but it was eggs. I guess Big Pharma wins either way.
Trying to deal with these problems in the healthiest way possible. I'm doing so much therapy and it's going real bad. Oh, it's going bad. But that's not my therapist's fault. I need to make that clear. My therapist is an incredible person and a very, very qualified mental health professional. The problem is with me and the little thing I like to call my personality, right? My personality, the problem with it is that I'm an incredibly unfortunate combination of unbelievably anxious, but also phenomenally arrogant. So, this is how my therapy process goes. She, a mental health professional with decades of experience, will say something to me. Out loud, I'll say, but in my head, I'll think, I don't think that's true. Then, a month later, something will happen, and I'll think, oh yeah, she was right! What a pro! Everything that's wrong in the way that I interact with my mental health journey can be found in events that take place between the end of January and the start of March last year. So, at the end of January, she diagnoses me after about 4 years of working together with a generalised anxiety disorder. The next week, I come back to therapy and say the one sentence I imagine medical professionals must dread hearing the most from their patients: I have done some of my own research. And I said, I've actually come to the conclusion that it's good to have a bit of an anxiety disorder because it keeps you aware of your immediate surroundings and the threats that might be contained in your vicinity. And she said, you have no understanding of the basics of this condition. What you are describing is a spidey sense from Spider-Man. And she said, anxiety is not about being aware of the threats in your vicinity. It's being worried about things that have happened or will happen. If anything, it keeps you more vulnerable in the moment because you're never present in your body because you're worrying about things that have happened or will happen. And out loud I said, and in my head I thought, I don't think that's true. Then 5 weeks later, at the start of March, I found myself off to New York for work. I land at JFK Airport, I get a taxi back to my friend's flat where I'm staying. I get out of the taxi, I speak to my girlfriend for 10 minutes, and at the end of those 10 minutes, I say, okay, I better go inside and hang up the phone. As I hang up the phone, that is the moment that it occurs to me that I have left my fucking passport on the seat of the cab, a cab that has long since disappeared into the New York night. Now, if my anxiety was keeping me aware of the threats in my vicinity, surely it would have been aware that the most crucial document in my possession was on the seat next to me where I placed it, unbelievably, for safekeeping. But in reality, I was somewhat distracted, being very worried about a faux pas I'd made at a drinks event in 2011. So I was not, shall we say, in my body. Unfortunately, the passport has gone. The Grammar fans in the crowd will know that means it's become something that has happened. Therefore, it comes back into anxiety's purview, and I start doing what everyone with an anxiety disorder in this room does, which is vibrate with rage, and then immediately start beating the shit out of myself. At one point, I said to my own reflection, "What's the point of you?" Which I think we can all agree is an unhelpful overreaction. Then I thought, okay, I'm on my own in this apartment, I'm freaking out, I just need voices in the room. Let me just hit play on whatever the next podcast is on my podcast app. Unfortunately, the next podcast on my podcast app was an hour-and-a-half long interview with John Oliver. And at one point, I sincerely thought, I bet John Oliver never loses his passport. And as if that wasn't insane enough, the next thing I thought was, and this is why you'll never have his career. That's not why I'm not going to have John Oliver's career. I'm pretty sure John, a man who I've met once and have now immediately jumped to first-name terms with without consultation, has his career because of hard work and talent, not based on his ability to retain documents. I'm pretty sure that once a year, John Oliver is just walking down the road and someone jumps out and says, "Hey, Oliver, where's your passport?" And he says, "Right here." And they go, "Wow, have another Emmy." I'm pretty sure that's not how, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. So, the next day, I get up. My girlfriend, much calmer head in these kinds of situations, has found a UK consulate in New York who can issue me with a temporary passport. I'm going to have to go home immediately and lose a month's worth of work, but I am going to be able to get home. Now, I swing open the front door of that block of flats, and what greets me in the street is little short of a miracle, because stood directly in front of me is the taxi driver from the night before, and he is holding in his hands my fucking passport. Listen, if you're applauding that, wait until you hear what he did, okay? So this guy drops me off on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I'm his last fare of the night. He drives an hour and a half back to where he lives in Jersey. When he finishes that journey, he does what he does at the end of every shift, which is clean his cab. He then finds my passport and doesn't do what any of us, including me, would have done under the circumstances, which is think, fucking hell, I'll deal with that in the morning. He got back in his taxi, drove back to where he had dropped me off, slept in his fucking car for 2 hours, and then waited for me in the street for 45 minutes. His name was Prince. To me, he will always be a king. And when he told me... When he told me what he had done, I said, "Prince, why did you do this? I so appreciate that you did this, but why did you do this?" Now, some background. The thing you need to know about Prince is his family's Indian. He's from Punjab, my family's from Kerala. In the cab ride over, we talked at some length about our shared Indian ancestry and upbringing. So when I asked him why he'd done it, he said this to me. At the end of the day, I thought, I'm Indian, this kid's Indian. I don't want an Indian kid running around New York without a passport. I know how scary that can be. And in that moment, I realised something genuinely profound. Racism is incredible when it benefits you. Because based on the look in Prince's face, if that had been a white guy's passport, he would have immediately frisbeed it into a New York City sewer, whipped the bandana off a Ninja Turtle while shouting, "That's for giving one of my jewels to that woman." And look, because this really isn't a character, I went on stage that night at a comedy club in New York and retold this story exactly as I've told it to you. Now, at this point, a woman asked a question. I think the only relevant question that's worth asking at this juncture, which is... Did you pay him? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. It is correct. Also, thank you for not asking the question 10 separate people have asked, which is, do you have ADHD? I know you fucking cunts have been sat there thinking that this entire story. The first time someone said it to me, I thought, rude. Then, at the 10th time, I thought, I should look into this. I said to my therapist, do you think I have ADHD, or do you think everyone thinks everyone has ADHD now because of the internet? Do you know what she said? Yes to both.
And when I said why, she said, because I sent you a referral to an ADHD specialist a month ago and you still haven't replied to the email. So thank you for asking that question. And thank you for not asking the question a man in Raleigh, North Carolina asked me, which was, which Ninja Turtle? That motherfucker definitely has ADHD. Also, of course, it was Leonardo. It's the funniest if it's Leonardo. So anyway, listen, well, I did give him money. I gave him $1,000. I went and got it out of a bank. I couldn't even go to an ATM. I had to go into a bank and speak to a fucking human being like it was goddamn 1997. I went into the bank and I said, listen, can I get $1,000 out of my account? Here's my debit card. And the guy said, listen, for that amount, I'm going to need to see some photo ID. I said, no problem, because by that point, my passport was stapled to my fucking hand. I gave him $1,000. Now, let's not be crass about this, but let's be honest about it. You know how much you paid for a ticket. You can see this room is full. So you know it is no skin off my dick to give this guy $1,000. I've never said that before. I can't believe... I can't believe the filming is when I chose to ad-lib no skin off my dick. Jesus fucking Christ. It was truly no hair off my ball bag. Look, you can tell it's fine. You can tell it's fine for me to give this guy $1,000, right? You understand the maths. Now, what I would say is in a random New York City comedy club, there was less of an awareness of my financial situation or wider body of work. So when I announced that I'd given this man $1,000, immediate audible suspicion broke out in the room as people just started loudly saying, how did this man have access at that speed to $1,000 in cash? Is he a sultan? Is he a drug dealer? Is he one of the ones that owns Manchester City? There was huge speculation. I heard the speculation, became defensive, and find myself saying, I'm actually very famous at home! At which point, a woman sat right in the front row, puts up her hand and says, I'm from England and I've never heard of you! So look, I'm trying to deal with my mental health problems. I'm listening to my therapist, sometimes a month after she tells me things, but I am listening to her. And she and I have been working together for nearly half a decade now. I initially started seeing her because I was behaving weirdly. That turned out to be symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder due to a period of time where I was receiving death threats and was the subject of hostile articles in the right-wing press in this country because they said I was saying dangerously left-wing things. You know, like racism is bad and women are nice. You know, that sort of dangerously left-wing stuff. We dealt with the PTSD, and now we're just going backwards through the timeline. Christopher Nolaning this motherfucker, Oppenheimering this bitch, hopping around the timeline. We dealt with anxiety. We're going to get to depression. We will get to ADHD when I remember to reply to that email. But one of the first things she said to me was this. I said, listen, I'm having trouble sleeping. That's not an uncommon thing in my life. When there's something going on, I often am unable to sleep. And she said, how much exercise are you doing per week? And I said, because I think exercise is fucking boring, and I think people who talk about it with too much enthusiasm shouldn't be allowed to have children. I really believe that. Okay? Listen, I know that we want to pass on the genes of our healthiest people, but at what cost? The cost of interesting conversation. And I said this to her and she said, I don't care. I'm not opening a conversation with you about exercise. I'm telling you, you have to exercise for your physical, but also your mental well-being. And I was saying to my friend, how the fuck am I going to exercise? I'm fucking bored of exercise. And he said, why don't you come and play football with us? My friends meet every Tuesday and play football. I said, I love football, but I'm bad at it. He said, we're all comedians. We're all bad at football. So come down. And I started going. And lo and behold, I fucking loved it. For 3 years, I was doing 90 minutes of exercise per week. Now, I know that that is not enough, but that is an on-average increase in my life of 90 minutes a week. Then, in the summer of 2023, I suffered a terrible sporting injury. I broke my little finger. Now, that's not supposed to get a fucking laugh. That's supposed to get, like, a little bit of sympathy from the audience that I then... No, don't patronise me now. It was supposed to get sympathy, and then I throw the sympathy back in the audience's face when they find out the slapstick fucking way I injured myself. Based on how much people like you fucking laughed at just me breaking my finger, when you find out how I did it, you're gonna spontaneously combust in a cloud of jizz. Okay, get ready. We're about to lose audience members because the way I broke my finger was that during a game of football, I sat on my hand. Oh, everybody's jizzing everywhere. It's like I will tell you the full story, okay? I was playing football and I was in goal. Everyone has to go in goal for 10 minutes. That's how the rules of five-a-side football work. No one likes it, but everyone does it. I'm playing in goal and my friend is bearing down on goal. He goes to shoot this way, so I start to crouch down. At the last minute, he cuts across the ball, so he goes across my body, and I managed to flip my body weight in the opposite direction and save the shot with this boot. I want it known that I fucking saved the shot, okay? And the reason I want it known is it was the high point of my sporting career that was followed by the low point of my sporting career. Because I've done so little exercise in my life, I think I've got some muscles I've never used. So the speed of me doing this caused me to pull a muscle in my neck. I fell backwards like this. And then landed with my full body weight on my little finger via my arse. I broke my little finger with my own arse, which doesn't even make sense because my arse is thick, juicy and delicious. However, I didn't realise that I'd broken my finger. This is a public service announcement. You have fewer pain receptors in your fingers and toes than you do in other parts of your body. So if you think you have badly bruised your finger or toe, you have probably broken your finger or toe. Now, I did not realise this, so I was just plastering it up myself and going about my business. 3 days later, I find myself on the set of a television show, and a medic who's there for insurance purposes says, "Can I help you with anything medical?" I say, "Ooh, yes. Can you tape up my finger properly, because it's badly bruised?" She takes one look at my finger and says, "That finger is broken." And I said, "It's bruised!" She said, "It's broken." I said, "It's bruised!" She said, "It's broken." Are you noticing a pattern emerging here with me and medical professionals? At one point I said, "Listen, I know you're a medical professional, but at the end of the day, you're white, I'm Indian, medicine comes naturally to my people, okay?" It occurs naturally in our bloodstream like midichlorians and the Force. And she said, and I don't think this is a textbook-approved phrase, "That finger is fucking broken." And I went in search of a second, browner opinion. Unfortunately, one was not available due to the fact that I was in a place called the Isle of Wight, which, if you've not been, is, as the name suggests, they are delivering on being an island of white people to the extent I think is where they make them. Just assembling them in factories with Mumford & Sons blaring out over the PA system so everyone comes out that extra nice crusty white. So I went to see a white doctor on the Isle of Wight who did a white x-ray on my brown hand and said, "Yeah, that finger is broken." It turns out the medical professional knows more than the man who drank his way to a joint honours degree in history and English literature. But then she said this, "Listen, when I say it's broken, that's actually a misnomer. What I mean is it's dislocated." Now this is a good thing because it means it's an easier fix. All I have to do is pull it out and pop it back in again. I said, "Fantastic, doc, let's get this show on the road. I need to be back on the set of this TV show. The people need entertainment." And she said, "Do you want any gas or air?" And I said, "Why? I'm not a fucking prego." Because that's the thing about toxic masculinity. It flares up sometimes for no reason. It's like athlete's foot of the very soul. And she said, "Do you want any pain medication?" And I said, "Let me summarise the events of the last 3 days for you, doc. I broke my finger and then have just been walking around like this the whole time without even realising it was broken. What does that tell you? It tells you I've got a very high pain threshold." And then I fainted. I fainted, to be clear, not when she pulled on my finger. When she touched my hand, the thought of her pulling on my finger caused my brain to go into immediate shutdown mode. I pass out on the floor of A&E in the Isle of Wight, and then I learned something about myself. I learned that I'm arrogant on a subconscious level. I know that I'm arrogant on a conscious level. Horrible to understand, it extends to my subconscious, as I found out when I attempted to style out a faint as soon as I regained consciousness. She did this, "Mr. Kumar, Mr. Kumar, Mr. Kumar." And the first thing I said was, "May I help you?" As if she had inconvenienced me. So then by this point I'd landed on the finger and broken it even worse, so I had to come home and get it operated on, and now it bends like this, but apart from that it's absolutely fine. Now, listen, this is supposed to be where this bit of the fucking show ends. Then, on the 1st of October last year, in the middle of the UK leg of this tour, something happened. I was back playing in my regular game of Tuesday football, and I was running back into my position. I'm a defender. I'm a defender. I was running back into my position, and out of the corner of this eye, I can see that my friend is about to take a shot. I think he hasn't seen me. I could just spin my body this way, stick this foot out, and knock the ball out of his path and prevent him from taking the shot. Now, I am correct about all of these things. I spin this way, stick this foot out, knock the ball out of his path, prevent him from taking the shot. Here's what I don't prevent him from doing: starting to take the shot. This man swings into the space where he thought the ball was and crashes studs first into the top of my foot. And all I can think in that moment is, I don't think that is bruised. And I'm only telling you this, Hackney, because I consider this story to be one of great personal growth. Because what did I do? I immediately went to hospital. I went to hospital and had an X-ray done on my foot, and the doctor came out and said, yeah, you've broken your toe. Now, when I say you've broken your toe, that's actually a misnomer. What I mean is you've dislocated your toe. Now, this is a good thing because it means it's an easier fix. All I have to do is pull it out and pop it back in again. And then she said, do you want any pain medication? And I said, I want every piece of pain medication you have in this hospital. Here's what I want you to do. Get all of it, put it on a table, split it in half. Take the first half, shove it down my throat. Take the second half, ram it up my arse. While we wait for those two groups to meet in the middle, I want you to inject me full of whatever killed Michael Jackson. She said, lidocaine will suffice. She injects my foot with lidocaine, it goes numb. She pulls it out. Pops it back in again. And then I had to wrap my foot in a bandage, and for the next month, I had to do shows sat on that stool, thus failing to fulfill 50% of my job description as a stand-up comedian. But then after that, it was absolutely fine. And initially, I was reluctant to tell either of these stories on stage, right? Because it doesn't feel consistent with my personal brand. This is not how you, my audience, the fuming, disgruntled leftists, want me to have injured my neck, hand and foot, is it? You want me to have injured my neck because I was nodding too vigorously at a Naomi Klein op-ed piece? You want me to have injured my hand and foot because I was banging on the table while stamping on the floor and shouting, injustice is bad! But then I had to think about it and I realised nothing other than these two stories could be more central to the core of my personal brand, because ultimately, a summary of both is that I hurt myself quite badly by turning too enthusiastically to the left.